it or to deal with it.
Yeah, part of what we do when we go into workshops is we actually take each type of abuse, and there's 6 different categories that we categorize them into. So abuse, verbal abuse, cyber abuse, financial abuse, physical and sexual abuse.
Mental and emotional abuse. Give us a example.
Yeah,
of that.
so like manipulating somebody, really like lowering their self-esteem, really affecting how they think, what they feel, and what they believe. There's this term that we use called gaslighting, and it's kind of the idea of making someone feel like they're crazy. We'll hear a lot of people say a lot of times like, some of the things that are happening within my relationship, like I don't actually know what's going on, or I'm confused, or this is happening, but my partner is making me feel like it's less than what's actually happening. So minimizing the abuse that's actually happening.
And
is
that's
a
to
huge
gain
tactic.
control.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you can mentally manipulate somebody when they're in an abusive relationship, it's going to be hard for them to leave because they might not even believe that the relationship is abusive. Their partner might be like minimizing what's going on and minimizing what they're doing to their partner.
And it's always like, I love you so much.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, there's a cycle we talk about in abusive relationships. Abusive relationships don't start off abusive right off the bat, right? So there's these controlling behaviors. I always say to people, you're not going to go out on a first date and get hit in the face and go back for a second date. That's just not the way it happens. Right. So, there's a grooming process within abusive relationships with small controlling tactics. A lot of the times these tactics are disguised as concern, So if somebody says to the partner, well, I need the password to your phone because I just want to make sure that, you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, and it seems like they're concerned, but really they're gaining control over their partner.
Yeah, definitely. And, when you're attracted to somebody, you don't see it that way, at first.
Absolutely. You're in an abusive relationship themselves. Right. You want to believe that the person that you're in a relationship with, you care about, you love that person. You want to believe that they feel that way back towards you. People don't want to believe that their partner would abuse them. So.
Just a question, you may not know the answer to this. Start very early, like I'm talking 13 years old, 14 years old?
It can start at any age, really. Within dating relationships, this can start at. I really haven't found an age where it wouldn't happen at. It's really about the abusive person and their intentions within the relationship.
Now, are these patterns that they learn at home?
Yeah, I believe that. I think there's a lot of things that influence why. I think there's a lot of misconceptions as to why people become abusive. Some people will blame drug and alcohol addiction. Some people will blame a history of abuse, but really it is a learned behavior, So we teach people in our society that within relationships, it's okay to be dominant for some people in relationships, right? So if somebody is taught that it's okay for them to have power, or they should have power, they'll bring that into their dating relationship.
And do they normally go for somebody who is having a problem with confidence?
So we always say that anybody can experience abuse just like anyone can perpetrate it. It's easier to control somebody who might have insecurities, but anybody can experience this abuse. We hear a lot from our clients and from youth that I speak to that a lot of people who are in abusive relationships will say, I never thought that I would be in an abusive relationship. Not many people ever expect wow, I'll be the target of an abuser, right?
Right, because you're just going around, you like somebody, you date them, and they have a hidden agenda.
And a lot of the times abusive people to everyone else will seem really charming, everybody will say, well, that's a nice kid. I know their family. They're well known in the community. How could they possibly be abusive? Because they're not abusive to everybody else, just their dating partner.
And it's their own insecurity where they need to feel the control.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just crazy. It's just so crazy out there. But, I do want to talk about the cyberbullying because it is so popular now, and people are taking horrible actions because they're cyberbullied. They see no other way out, and some end up taking their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just so sad. And this is something that I guess is easily controlled by the victim. I don't know how. I mean, for me, if I'm just not going to go to my Facebook page, I'm just going to forget about it. But people don't do that.
And that's a little harder when you're in a dating relationship, right? So if you're with this person all the time and they want access to your Facebook page, your Instagram account, if they want all of that access, they're going to get it either way, right? Even if you don't use it, they're going to want access to it. And I think when we're talking about cyber abuse, it's interesting because all the other categories of abuse that we talk about can happen within cyber abuse. I was at a workshop recently with students, and we were talking about a lot of the controlling behaviors that can happen under cyber abuse, even texting your partner. Class periods are about 40 minutes these days. Within a class period, if someone's partner texts them 50 times within that 40-minute period, that's excessive. That's harassing behavior, but it's so normalized now. So when you say that to youth, they're like, well, if that's abusive, then nobody's in a healthy relationship. And it's really re-examining what we think are healthy behaviors, and that's one thing we do in our workshop, abusive behaviors, and we identify how they are normalized, excuse me, but then we also talk about what respectful behaviors look like. So cyber abuse, where it could be stalking, right? It's so easy to stalk people now with our smartphones and our access to technology. Somebody forces their partner to share their location on their phone, right, with like Find My Friends on our iPhones, or it could even be all the time to see who they're posting pictures with and where they are throughout the day. And that seems so normalized with youth now. You know, people will say, well, I do that all the time to my partner. My partner does that all the time to me. And where it becomes abusive is where it's cross control. You know, if there's going to be a consequence, if, you know, Dunkin' Donuts and your partner texts you and says, why are you there? You didn't give your partner that information. They're finding it out on their own and they're keeping track of that person.
Yeah, jeez. It's like almost like you can't escape.
No, right? Cyber, like, technology makes it so easy to keep track of people and keep in touch, you know? And I think it's a big misconception that you always have to be in touch with your partner. You always have to be texting them and answering back. It's okay to take space. It's okay to have your own time and your own space within a relationship. And I don't think that's valued as much.
No, now, how do you help youth experiencing this teen dating violence to what appropriate responses can they do? Because, you know, you don't want to have the other person angry because that's just going to like ramp it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, if he's been texting you, you know, 30 times, well, if you're having a problem there, he'll text you 40, 50 times and that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So what are some appropriate responses to protect yourself?
Yeah. A lot of the times when we're in workshops with youth, students will approach us about a friend and they'll say, you know, I give them advice. I tell them they should break up with it. And it's really hard because when you're responding to someone who is in an abusive relationship, you have to be thinking about their safety and what intervention is going to mean to them. On average, someone has to try 7 till they're able to leave an abusive relationship. So there's a lot of control that goes on, and that control might create reasons why someone might have to go back to their partner even after they leave. So a lot of the times when we're talking about responses to dating violence and how you should approach somebody if they tell you, is first asking, are you safe to talk right now, right? So like, are you in a safe place?
Right, this most simple thing.
Exactly. Just always starting with their safety, you know, like what's going to be safest for you? Is there somebody that you can reach out to, a trusted adult, an advocate, right? Can you reach out to safe homes safely to speak to somebody? But really focusing on their safety and knowing that, say you see an abusive situation right in front of you where the abuser and the partner are there together, maybe not approaching that right away, not approaching the abuser, because if the abuser sees that somebody is reaching out to help, they might take that out on their partner, right?
Right.
I always say that information is great for people who are in abusive relationships, but that means less control for the abuser. Right. So the less control an abuser has, to try to regain that control. So always focusing on the safety of that person first.
I feel like I'm being blasted with all this great information. If you're just joining us, with us, we have MacKenzie Bachar. She's a youth educator in Orange County, and we are talking about teen dating violence. It's prevalent with all of the new technology. It's much easier to follow people, stalk people, and it's all about setting boundaries. Now, do you set boundaries? Do you find, I'm going to throw 2 questions at you, boundaries, and do you find that sometimes friends, they say they want to help you, but helping this violence to perpetrate?
Yeah. So first, boundaries are super important. We talk about them a lot when we're talking about behaviors. Just like we go over every type of respectful behavior as well. Respect, a lot of it is about setting boundaries, knowing what boundaries are, right? Even if it's in like if you're in a physical relationship with somebody and you don't want to hold their hand, that's a physical boundary for you. You don't have to. You don't have that pressure to do that. The second part of your question, it's slipping my mind.
The second part of my question slipped my mind too. Do friends sometimes in wanting to help actually make it worse?
I think sometimes in trying to help, everybody's well-intentioned, but I think you can perpetuate the abusive behaviors. We always say as advocates at Safe Homes that when you're reaching out to help somebody who's in an abusive relationship, your job is to empower them. They're people who have had their power and control taken away in their lives. So your job as somebody who's reaching out, whether you're a friend, an advocate, a parent, a teacher, your job is to help that person empower themselves. So in your response, giving that person who's experiencing the abuse the space to explain their situation and have their voice heard, and allowing them to figure out what the best course of action will be in the relationship. You know, that might be the safest thing for them at this point.
Right.
But then what your job is as somebody who's intervening is to make sure they're set up in the safest way possible to be in that relationship.
I am just blown away. All of this great information. People don't even know they're in an abusive relationship. They think it's no. They want to get out. Either way, where would they get help from you, from Safe Homes of Orange County?
Anybody can access Safe Homes resources. We always say to youth, regardless of age, so if they're 16, they can still come to Safe Homes. We're going to need parental consent to speak with them and provide them with services, but that doesn't mean that we're going to tell their parents what they're talking about. All the information at Safe Homes is confidential, so anybody can access Safe Homes resources.
That's important to know, because a lot of people, if they think they're going to be outed by their, won't say anything, and then it just keeps going on, and people getting more and more kind of a relationship. And Facebook page?
Yes, so we have a Facebook at Safe Homes of Orange County. You can follow our Facebook page to get a lot of information about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, which is going on right now in February. But then all throughout the year, we have a lot of information that has to do with dating, domestic violence, and all the events that we have going on throughout the year.
So if you're experiencing what you think is a teen dating violence, or you have a friend that you can obviously see is going through it, rather than maybe give your own advice, as well-intentioned as it is, just kind of get them over to the Safe Home resources.
It's always a good idea.
Very good. I'd love for you to sit here all day long, but man, you've been here for a while, and it went like that. MacKenzie Bachar from Safe Homes of Orange County. She's a youth educator there, and it is Teen Violence Dating Month. So please, if you are having any problem, can't say it enough, because at some point the light bulb's going to go on going, wait, that's my relationship.
Yeah.
So maybe the more you hear about it, the more it's happening, and we could all help each other, and that's really what it's all about, helping each other. MacKenzie, thank you so much. What a great pleasure to have you here. You are welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, I think I love her. MacKenzie Bachar from Safe Homes of Orange County.